Welcome to the Feminine Voice of God, a podcast celebrating women's spiritual connections to God, Source, and Spirit, including the mystical and the psychedelic. Join us as we explore women's transformative experiences of divine revelation and spiritual empowerment. So I want to start by welcoming everyone to episode 9 of the Feminine Voice of God. I am here with Christina Dennis, who is a witchy spiritual teacher. And she's somebody that I saw online, and I immediately was like, I would love to hear her story and get her on the podcast. So I reached out to her, and here she is on the podcast with us. So welcome, Christina.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me. Hello, everybody.
Of course, of course. So, Christina, I want to start by the grand question I like to ask everyone is what really started your spiritual journey? Like, what was the moment for you or the time in your life that something happened? We need that story, whatever it is, and led you into this spiritual, witchy, powerful being that you are today.
Yeah, great question. Ever since I was a child, I have always felt this presence around me. And I remember being like in middle school, and I would just go outside on my little patio and just sit in the lawn chair and look up at the stars. And I always felt like something was watching me and supporting me and guiding me. And I remember just like a few months ago, I told my friends this because they're always curious about my new journey that I'm on. And I told them this story, and they're like, "You used to do that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like, didn't everybody do stuff like that?" And they're like, "That is so cool." So I just feel like I've always had this connection to something. And honestly, I think when I was in high school and I saw the movie The Craft,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Wait a minute. This is like a thing? You
Yeah,
can
it's real.
use your energy and your thoughts and, nature and manifest really good things into your life." And so that's when I really started to explore Wicca, um,
Mm-hmm.
nature-based spiritual practice, and it's just using the earth elements and your own intentions. And that kind of started it for me.
Mm-hmm.
I explored that for quite a few years, and then after I broke up with the boyfriend that I was with during this whole time of exploration, I kind of hid my books in my closet from anybody moving forward, like any of my boyfriends moving forward or my roommates, because back then in, like, the early 2000s, this was not something we talked about. If anybody found out you were into, what some would call witchcraft or anything like that, you'd get the side eye, and
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't, so sure of myself and so confident in myself back then, and I didn't want to feel any ridicule or be, outcasted from any of my friend circles or, like, ruin my reputation because, like, "Oh, yeah, she's into some weird stuff," when they don't really even know what it's about.
Yeah.
I would say, I've always had a felt sense, but then when I actually saw it in a movie and explored it a little bit more for myself, that's when it really opened up for me. And, honestly, I put that side of me away up until about October of last year
Mm-hmm.
when I was just like, "You know what? I am tired of feeling like I'm losing myself because I'm scared I might lose people, and I'm just not willing to do that anymore." And that's when I officially came out of the broom closet, so to
Yeah.
say.
Oh,
And
I
I was
love it.
created a YouTube video, and I was like, "Everybody look,
Mhm.
this is who I am, this is what I'm into, and this is
Yeah.
what it truly is. So don't misinterpret it, don't, I know everybody, well, mostly religious people, they have their, opinions about what it is, but I was like, "This is what it is for me, and this is how it makes me feel," and I do truly feel more connected to myself, to nature, to the universe, to source, to my higher self, I feel so much more connected just being who I am and incorporating these practices into my life.
Yes. Oh my god, I love that so much. Just like the whole story of going through that and having something that I think for so many people is like this innate truth that people experience and they don't know how to name it or label it or what it is. But there's so much shame that does come from religion when you're practicing things that are like outside of that,
Yeah.
right? So I totally understand. And I love that you're out of the broom closet and here you are with us sharing
I'm
this.
here for all the world to see,
Yeah.
and trust me, I get judged online, and it gets annoying sometimes, but I do carry compassion because I understand everybody's on their own path, and I respect everybody's path because I have this belief that we're all here during this life to follow whatever path feels like love and truth for us.
Yes.
And for some people, they might need more of a religious path, more of a rule setting to keep them on the straight. Whereas somebody like me and maybe like you, I don't know your beliefs, but I need flexibility. I need to explore
Mhm.
everything. I want to like look into everything and feel everything and determine everything for myself. And if I do something and it doesn't feel right, I'm like, that's not for me. But if
Mhm.
I'm doing something that somebody else might say, oh, that's bad and evil, I'm like, okay, well, why?
Yes.
And I want to know why. And I'm so
You're
curious.
curious.
Well, why do they say that? Why do they think that? I want to determine that for myself because things can be demonized when they actually
Absolutely.
shouldn't be. And I just wanna make sure I'm not leaving anything on the table. So that's just kind of how I've always been. I've just been curious, and I wanna know why things are bad or why things are good, and I wanna experience life and all these feelings and emotions and everything for myself and make a determination for myself.
Yeah, no, I 1,000% agree. And I'm very similar in that I like very different things. Like I might not be set in one religion or practice. I like
Yeah, same
all of
here.
them. I think there's so much truth in each of them, little
Yeah.
bits and pieces. Um, and I want to ask you because there might be people listening to this podcast that, they hear the word wit, right? And I'm sure that that comes with its own lots of information and just history that's been attached to that and what that's meant for people over time. But when you call yourself a witch, what does that mean to you?
So a witch for me is a man or a woman who just knows that there's energy around them that is supporting them and that exists. And that when you can tap into your own magic, and when I say your own magic, I mean like your own voice, your own confidence, your own certainty, your own path, your own self trust, when you can tap into that and, maybe use earthly elements or light a candle or make a tea to set the mood, it's just those people that kind of take the extra step. So when maybe they're brewing their tea to relax, that is actually a form of witchcraft. But
Mhm,
some of us just take it a step further and we'll stir it 3 times clockwise and we'll say a beautiful intention of maybe what we want to feel or, bring up for the day and we'll drink it and we'll infuse it in our body. So we just kind of take energy a step further. Like when we light a candle, we'll do it to relax, but we'll have an intention and we'll do an affirmation or, during the moon cycles, we might intentionally sit there and be like, okay, like this month I want to manifest this, or this month I want to let go of this. So it's using our own intention and our own, yeah, just positive energy to manifest really good things into our lives. And that's just personally how I do things. And I do know that there are some people out there that might do things and to harm people or intentionally, try
mhm,
to. But that's just not what 99% of people are doing when they do this. It's to improve themselves, to improve what's going on in their lives, to improve their relationships, and to
mhm.
feel that deeper connection to nature and to source.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for explaining that. I think that just encapsulates so much of what people see also as just spiritualism. People
Yeah.
just connecting to their spirit and infusing everything with energy, understanding the energy around them, people's aura, their energy
Mhm.
effect on other people's energy and their effect on us. So totally sounds like we're in alignment here with those things and it's very similar and it just maybe doesn't have the label of witch or like Wicca, but
Yeah.
definitely something that I think they it's like one or the other is like 2 sides of the same coin, I almost feel like.
Yeah. And, even when I first came out of the broom closet, I would always call myself witchy, and I still call myself witchy. To say the word witch even still scared me because when I came out of the broom closet, as much as, like, I was out and, in the open for everybody to see, I still had my own witch wound to heal during that time, and I'm still healing it. It's a process, but it's a beautiful process to go through. It's just about exploring yourself, and I get anxious around churches, and I've never had a bad experience in churches, and so I see that as, well, maybe I had a bad experience in a past life that had to do with church or people from church, and that's still within my DNA, and I am recognizing that, okay, nothing bad happened in this lifetime, I'm probably still carrying that, but I am safe being who I am. I am supported, and God, the universe, source, whatever you want to call it, is always guiding me and supporting me and knows my heart and knows my intentions. And that's kind of what carries me through is like, I know my heart and I know my intentions, and I know that what I'm doing is for the greater good of myself and everybody involved. And so, I just kind of leave it at that.
Actually, speaking of, like, the religion part 2 of it, did you grow up religious at all? Did you have any religious background? Like, what was that like for you?
When I don't know the exact age, but I want to say I was 6-ish. I did get bused to our local church. It was a Baptist church.
Oh.
And I don't know exactly how long I was there for, but I just always remember it didn't feel right to me. And I don't remember much of it. I don't know if I just blocked it out or if it's, whatever. I didn't have any horrible traumatic experiences there, but I just remember when I look back, I just feel like it just didn't feel like my truth or right. It felt too ruly and rigid. And some of the beliefs, I was just like, that's not right. Why would you think that about people? Or why would you? And so that's really the only experience I've ever had with church. My parents were not religious, so we didn't have like crosses hanging up in our house or, we didn't go to church every Sunday. There was nothing like that. So I didn't really grow up in a religious family. Um, so for me personally, that's good because being as though I'm kind of in this world right now, I have heard a lot of stories of people overcoming religious traumas. And I
Mhm.
hear the stories of, things that have happened. And I just psychologically can't even imagine having to navigate all of that and completely reprogram your mind and your view of the world and your view of people being raised up in a religion that, you were born into. You had no say so. Your parents are
Exactly.
was like, "Hey, we are Catholic or we are Christian, and so we're gonna raise our kid up to be this way." And, most kids don't have a voice and they just go with the flow and they just do what their parents say and what they believe in. And but then when they get older, some of them awaken and get wiser and are like, "Wait," and they question things and they're like, "But I don't think this is true," or "I don't wanna live like that." So can be a very gnarly thing to navigate when you're older, if you're raised in religion and then you realize, "Oh, wait, but there's so much even from the Bible that is, like, mistranslated or missing,
Mhm.
misinterpreted." So I honestly really do feel for people with religious trauma. It's a heavy thing. Your whole ego is getting completely twisted. Things that you believed in and did. It's kind of like a grieving process. Your ego is dying and you're having to be a phoenix and get reborn again, so to say, into this new enlightened being.
Yeah. No, I totally understand that journey because I was somebody that was raised very religious. I was raised as a Latter-day Saint or as a Mormon. So, super indoctrinated into the religious teachings, right? And going through that, and one of my experiences that I had, I think I was maybe I think I was around 19 years old. And at the time I was like partying, doing stuff with friends, being a 19, 20-year-old. And
Been there.
yeah. So I'm out with friends, and I actually, one of my friends at this party was like, "Hey, I have these mushrooms. Who wants to do mushrooms?" And everyone's like, "Nah, we don't wanna do mushrooms." People wanted to, like, keep drinking or do, like, ecstasy or coke or whatever, right? Different time of my life, guys, just so everyone knows.
I've been there.
But,
Right.
we've been there, we've been there. So, I was
Yes.
like, "I'll try it." Um, and when I took it, I went through this super massive ego death where the spirit of that medicine was like, everything that you believe that you have been taught isn't real. The God
Whoa.
Yeah, it was like the God that you believe is God isn't real. That's not God. Like, you've been basically misled to believe that it's something else when it's not. It was also like time isn't real. It was and at this time, I'm like 19 years old. I had never had thoughts like this. I was
Right.
like this Mormon kid that was, like, rebelling, that had been through my own trauma and my own thing that came from the church and everything, so I'm, like, in my rebellious stage, and my I remember my whole identity was completely shattered. Everything that I thought I knew was completely shattered because it was like this whole other reality showing me that that's not real. And I
Wow.
think that was really, like, a big start for me of, like, an awakening. Um, so it was like the seed that was planted, exactly like what you're talking about. I had this awakening and I was like, "This isn't everything. I know it's not, and I know there's so much more out there." And I
Right.
actually started going into and I practiced Wicca for a little while, um, which is why I love having you on here because I know people too that are in my circle that have done it, and there is, like, this kind of like side eye, like you're saying, that people give you when you're like, "Oh, I'm a witch or I practice Wicca." People are like, "What?
Yeah.
You curse people?" I'm like,
No, that's
"No."
not at all.
I'm like, "Karma does it for me,
You
dude.
don't know the
I don't have to
threefold
do
law.
anything." Yeah. I was like, "And if I do send something to somebody, it comes back exactly threefold. It comes back 3 times worse, and I don't need that in my life."
Exactly.
Yeah, so definitely something that I understand that religious journey and how difficult that can be. So being somebody that's been through that, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So obviously your family was religious. Were all your friends also?
Yeah,
So
I mean,
you
my
you were
circle of
getting
friends.
no outside curiosity. You were getting like, none of your friends were coming to you and being like, "Hey, like, do you think what we're learning or what we believe in," like, you had none of that, and then you did the mushroom, and then the mushroom was like, "Sorry to break the news to you. I got a question for you. How
Exactly.
did you navigate just life and integrating it back into your life after experiencing that? Because I know for me, when I have spiritual awakenings and when my ego and my belief systems get, like, completely shattered,
Mhm.
almost like I am wobbling through life for a little bit and trying to get my footing again and trying to,
Mhm.
like, center in and stabilize. Okay, whew, that was a lot to take in, but, like, we're good now, and then from there, you kind of build upon, other things, but
Yeah.
it's been something.
No, I think for me it was I had already started having questions. I was already starting to have doubts where I was thinking, is this really like everything there is? Is this really the truth of everything that there is? So, most religions are very convinced with their own doctrine and stories, right?
Yeah,
They're like, we have the only answer. All the other people are wrong. So you either believe what we believe or
you're going
you're
to hell.
wrong. Yeah. So that's what they taught. And at the time I was questioning a lot of that. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of my childhood trauma came from an adult man that was in the church. So it was this whole like sick cycle, but also like now, hindsight, I can see why everything happened the way that it did. And I think that's the beautiful piece of being spiritual, being connected to those energies, to source, to that stuff that people call woo woo, but that actually has so much power and so much influence in our life. And since I was already questioning it kind of was just like this extra confirmation for me. I didn't immediately say, okay, I'm going to stop going to church. I'm done. I'm quitting. It was like this weird, like in between where I'm like, is this real? Is this reality really what it is? Or what I experienced for the mushrooms, is that really what it is? And I mean, it was so blatant, like the way that it told me, it was basically just like, look, the God that you've been told you believe in isn't real. That's not God. And for somebody being like believing that that was God, it like it blew my mind. So I was thinking, was I just like on drugs? I'm like, was
I
I
mean,
just like
yeah.
tripping out? Because also religion teaches, or specifically that religion teaches, hey, all these drugs are bad. I mean, we can't even drink coffee. I'm drinking coffee now, right? I'm doing mushrooms now. I'm like
Whoa,
living
wow.
my best life. So
I
it's
didn't know that.
yeah, so it's a lot of rules. Like these are the parameters you have to abide in to be part of the church.
Yeah.
So it was also me questioning that, and I didn't have anybody to really talk to about those things because
Yeah.
all of my family, all my friends were people that were part of the church and the religion. So it wasn't until, I mean, this was when I was like 19. So it was maybe when I was like almost 25, 26 years old that I had another awakening. And that one happened after my older brother actually had passed away. And I talk about it in my very first episode of my podcast. But death is, man, if you're if you're ready to be awakened, death
Yeah.
is like a door for that. It will shake
Yeah.
you, wake you up. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was really when I was like, "This is it. I'm waking up to this truth and I'm gonna follow it." Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, that's great because I can imagine those that are really, really religious would have probably just dismissed it and been like, "I was on drugs. I
Yeah.
can't believe, like, this drug must have been a demon trying to tell me that my God's not the real God. Like, what the heck? I'm never
For
doing
sure.
mushrooms again," right?
I know, I love how
So
you say that.
right?
Yeah,
So that's
that's
really
probably what they
beautiful
believe.
that your soul wanted to explore deeper and be like, "Well, something happened. What was that? Who was that? What was that voice? And is there some truth behind it?" And you took time to explore that because you had that experience and that was your real experience and your truth. And again, I just can't imagine all your friends being what is it, Mormon?
It was Mormon, yeah, or they call them Latter-day Saints.
Nobody to talk to. And I think probably right around this time, there really was no Facebook or it was just getting like, we didn't
Mhm.
really have communities or pockets of people that we could reach out to and, like, confide in or connect with like we do now, which is beautiful. And you mentioned something about death being the ultimate awakener. So last June, my mother-in-law, she lived with us for the last 7 years. She
Mhm.
passed away. And so I feel like after she passed away, June, July, August. So, like, 4 months later is when I'm like, "Okay, I saw how life is and how quickly it could end, and it's like I'm
Mhm.
sitting here stifling my soul because I don't wanna be judged." Like,
Uh,
how because I don't wanna be judged.
yes.
This is something that I need to really get over because I am settling because of other people's opinions, and that was no longer cool to me. I was like, it's just I firmly believe that people in your life will be in your life who are meant to be in your life, and if you come out and you say,
Absolutely.
"I'm gay, I'm into this," or "I'm converting to this religion," or whatever you may say, if that makes somebody leave your life, thank you, universe, because those people are not, here to help me evolve my soul if I can't live in my truth and receive their love and support. They
Mhm.
might not understand me, and they might not get me, and that's fine. But you definitely need to be respected when you come out and say maybe like, "I'm into witchy things," or "I'm gay." Um, so again, I was that's a kind of like a little catalyst for me too, was my mother-in-law's death, and there's an empty bedroom downstairs now where she used to live for the last 7 years, and I was just like, I'm kind of done. I wanna live. At the time, I was 41 years old, and I'm like, I'm literally hiding the most sacred part of myself that makes me feel most connected to me, makes me feel loving, makes me feel kind, and I feel the direct connection to the divine when I'm in my witchy presence and connected to candles and flowers and crystals and all of that.
Mhm.
Why? And so I went to therapy and I did, IFS, parts work, and we worked on my judgmental part, and it was a beautiful session, and my therapist gave me on our last session, she gave me a candle, and it was about courage, and I lit that candle every day, and I have a couple other friends, including my husband, who also went to therapy with her, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Give you a candle or anything when you guys had your last sessions?" And they're like, "No," and I'm like, "I got a candle." But
Oh,
anyway,
perfect
so
for you.
it was just like a beautiful experience of, like, owning who I am, going to therapy, working on that part, and then, you know, the judgmental part or the part of being the part that was worried of being judged, I kind of worked on, and it's it's still there, but I don't let it stop me anymore, if that makes sense. It's like, "Oh, I'm gonna say
Absolutely.
this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna share it online." There might be 1 out of 50 people that come on here and say, "You need Jesus," or, you
There's
know,
always one, Christina.
there's
There's
just and
there's
for that
always one.
I'm grateful because I can look at and I'm like, "Okay, they're the outlier in the room here in the comment
Mhm.
section." But I have all these other people that are just like, "I needed to hear this today," or, "Wow, thank you so much for sharing," and I gotta focus on my people. And
Yes,
when
I
you
agree.
yeah, when you, like, come out and you own who you are, you will attract more people who share similar values and beliefs as you, and that's one of the most beautiful things is cultivating a community of people who just want to do good in the world and who don't care what other people's beliefs might be, and who believe in magic and who believe in themselves and know that there's a God that does exist and we can get closer to that source and we don't need a middleman or a
Mhm.
church to stand between us to experience its love and its guidance.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, nature is at least my biggest connection.
Me too.
Really, yeah, when I'm in nature,
Yeah.
I can feel it. My whole energy shifts. I feel like I'm on the language of the universe when I'm sitting in nature.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when I have that stillness within myself too, just mentally, emotionally, I can feel it. Yeah. So I think
Yep.
that's so important. And I love the message that you're saying, which is basically like, don't close yourself off and hide yourself because you're afraid of judgments from other people, which I think is something so many people experience.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's people listening to this that have their own truth that they want to step into. And they just feel like, oh, the fear of being judged, of being looked at differently, of being told things. So, yeah, I think that's such a powerful message that you're sharing right now because people need
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and I mean, if you go into it knowing, "Look, my family's probably gonna question me.
Mhm.
I might lose a couple of friends," but if you go into it just mentally preparing yourself of like, "Look, what is most important in my life right now? It's me showing up, being who I am, and sharing the things that I'm into. Look, if they can share about the Bible and if they can share about their beliefs, I wanna be able to feel like I can do the same thing."
Yes.
Um, and just know that, yeah, you might, but you might not lose some people in your life. I didn't lose anybody in my life when I came out, and my whole husband's side of the family is Catholic and Christian. Most of my friends are actually Christians, and nobody I didn't lose anybody, So we can often make up the worst case scenarios in our head, which is just what our brains are meant to do. But at the end of the day, you're going to be so proud of yourself for standing up for yourself and expressing yourself, regardless of what others might think and they might say. So, for me personally, I just ripped the band aid off. Whereas I know for some other people, it might just be like putting on maybe a little crystal jewelry and
Mhm.
or like, those little shirts that have tarot cards on them and, like
Yes.
the lover or just trickling in little pieces of the things that you're into that seem a little woo woo to others and just start um, slowly showing them that, hey, I am kind of interested in these other things. Maybe if somebody comes over, leave a spiritual book out on your table. And so it's just, it's a little less I don't know if abrupt's the right word, but it's, instead of just coming out and saying, "This is who I am," it's just like, oh, if they're curious about why I have that book out or why I have that crystal out or why I'm wearing that, they could ask me. But if they don't, maybe they just don't care that much, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think also it's that energy that you embody when somebody's asking you about it, if they do. Let's say, like, somebody comes over, they're like, "Oh, you're into this woo-woo stuff with your book?" You know? Like, "Yes." I'm the type of person, I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I am. I'm totally into it." Like,
Yeah.
it's not woo-woo for me, it's my spirituality. Like, and I found more connection in that than I ever have in any church that I've ever been to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's,
Great opportunity to open up the conversation in a very
yeah,
lighthearted way.
yeah,
Um, yeah. And again, if they're curious, they will ask you, "What are you reading? Why are you
it
wearing that?"
yeah,
And just the best thing I can recommend is to never stoop to their level of, like, energy and animosity. Just
mhm,
stay in your truth from a very loving, empathetic way and just know, like, sometimes, they just need to be educated a little bit about what we're doing or what we're into because maybe they just don't know and they assume it's something bad or dark. Um, or maybe, I guess they've been told it was something bad. So it's, like, up
yeah,
for us to be like, "This is what it truly is, and this is how it has made me feel and has improved my life." And
mhm,
any questions?
yeah. No, I agree, and I think it is part of shifting that perception for them because so many people, especially people that are deeply religious or that have been indoctrinated into religion since they were born, like we were talking about, have a very set way that they view anything that's spiritual, that's ritualistic, that's just even connecting with nature, like just even like pagan, anything outside, they're like, oh my God. Even hearing the word pagan, the religious people are like, "Oh my god, you're evil. You're a demon." I'm like, "No, that's not actually what being a pagan means," you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's interesting
Not
to
at all, actually.
yeah, so it's interesting to
Crazy.
see, yeah, how, and I hate to say it, but, brainwashed people are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're so close-minded, they've got the blinders on, so, yeah, I love
Yeah.
all the input you're giving for people because I think there are a lot of people that wanna step into that space, and they're just not sure how to start, or maybe they are part of a religion and they wanna start stepping away and practicing something that's more in alignment with who they feel they truly are.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it honestly I'm not gonna say it's easy, but it's absolutely worth it. You're gonna feel just, again, so proud of yourself for being like, "Wow, I am doing what I wanna do." It's tough, but it can be done, and I think now is probably the best time to do it if you're hearing this, to
For
take
sure.
whatever that little first step is for you. Whether it's setting a boundary and being like, I don't feel like going to church every Sunday anymore. I'd rather maybe go outside and pray or connect with nature." And just again, expect you're going to get a little rebuttal and you're going to get this and that. And, oh, well, God, this. No, 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 no. I feel, and again, just saying your truth, like, I feel God in nature and
Mhm,
this is my path. And it takes a lot of finding your own voice. And I think that might be like the first step is just finding your own voice and your own way to talk to your family because you know them best and you know what's going to work and what's going to ruffle their feathers. So find your voice, find why you're doing what you're doing, why you're into what you're doing, and how it makes you feel because then you'll be able to articulate it a lot better to those around you who might question why you're changing, so to say, or evolving, as I like to say it. Uh,
mm,
oh, it's so worth it. You just got to figure out what's going to work best for you and take that first step. And then
yeah,
from there, the next step will reveal itself. And then
mhm,
there, the next step will reveal itself. And most likely it's not going to be as bad as you think it will be. At least I would hope not. And
yeah,
if it
I would hope
then
not.
the universe is just, the universe will always have your back. So just trust that when you stand in your truth, whatever falls off was never meant for you to begin with.
Mhm,
You're living a lie and you're trying to just please everybody around you, you're very out of alignment with how your life could actually look. But when you stand in your truth, you're going to have nothing but, people, places, and things and opportunities that are truly meant for you because you are being you and doing you and
Mhm.
having that relationship with source in the way that makes you feel truly supported and loved. Because source or God, whatever you call it, is, in my opinion, not a man in the sky who's just judging everybody's little move. It's a unconditional loving energy.
Mhm.
That's it.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I wanna ask you for people that are out there, let's say somebody's listening to this, they're feeling intuitively like they're being called to maybe step outside of what they're practicing or studying now, or they do wanna get more into, like, witchy practices or even just spiritual practices, and connect with that. What would you say to the person that's not sure about the next step and what that would mean for them? How can they connect with themselves or with source, just from your own experience and, like, your witchy spiritual practices you do? What would you invite them to do to connect with that?
First thing I would have them do is get out into nature and just sit there with themselves and just look around and just feel the wind on their skin. Look up at the trees, really see things as like a miracle. If you look outside, everything is so beautiful. And see if you can't feel some kind of connection to whatever you want to call it. It's just this connection. And then close your eyes or maybe just look at the water or look at a tree or whatever and sit there and start asking yourself some questions. I can't think of any off the top of my head because I feel on the spot right now. But, maybe ask yourself, what is truly most important to me in my life right now? Is it being who I know that I am, who is this loving, nature connected, witchy person? Or is it constantly being a people pleaser to my family or friends? But at the end of the day, when I go home and I sit there, I feel so stifled and like I'm not being authentic or true to myself, which is showing up in every other area of my life.
Mhm.
So it's about getting to truly know yourself and what you want. How do you want your life to feel? What kind of people would you love in your life? What kind of things would you want to be doing and learning? And figuring that out for yourself without having the influence of a church or a person or anything trickling into your subconscious. If you feel that fear of like, oh, like if I do this, they're going to judge me, try to remove that and be like, okay, well, what do I want? You know, and it's really rebuilding your self image and
Mhm.
your life in the way that you want it to look and feel. So I would really start there and explore yourself and see what areas of your life or within yourself could be better and make you feel more connected to yourself and to source. And start there. And then maybe I would even go to a bookstore and open up some books and see how they make you feel and see if you're like, this sounds like I'm remembering something. Like you might get goosebumps when you open a book. You might get shivers. You might feel like you were just thrown back in a chair because you're like, this stuff sounds much more sacred to me than anything I've ever maybe read in a Bible or anything like that. And I, don't want to keep bringing religion into this, but if you were brought into a religious thing, family, just feel things out. Those would be maybe the two places that I would start is what do I want? How do I want to feel and show up in my relationships and in my life? Where do I feel the most connected to source? And be honest, if it is outside in nature and it's not in a church, you just got to be honest with that because we're all on different paths and that path is not a wrong path, but that path is your path and you were meant to follow it. And your family was, for whatever reason of their soul evolution, They were meant to follow the other path of religion. It's just about respecting everybody's path, and for people like us, I just feel like it's a lot easier to do that, and just, for others, it might be like, "You have to follow my path or consequence, 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 fear, fear, fear," but just stand in your truth, and I promise you, you'll look back, like, in a couple months and be like, "Oh, okay, that was so worth it, and that wasn't really as bad as it was," and,
Yes.
you know yeah,
And you'll see it actually all works out, even when it feels like it's not working out and like shit is just hitting the fan. That's the hardest time to remember that like you're standing in your truth, you're doing it to maybe liberate or free yourself from something that's not in alignment when yourself with yourself. But when you get to that other side, it all really does make sense.
yeah, it
Uh,
does.
yeah, and I love how you're also inviting people to really, like, go out and seek these things in a book or learn about it in some way and actually sitting with your own energy, right? And seeing how you feel, I think is so important because we've been taught to not trust that and to
Yeah,
put that in other people's hands. Trust these professionals, trust these doctors, trust these pastors, ministers, like they all know. But
mhm,
you don't, and essentially don't trust yourself. So I think it's like us reclaiming that and reconnecting with that intuitive part of us that actually is extremely wise, has a lot of answers, but that we've been taught to not trust. And that's not just in religion, but just by the society that we exist in and that we live in.
yeah,
So, yeah, definitely I think great information there for people that are looking for what that next step would be for them.
yeah.
Um, I want to ask you too, what is, if you have one, what is like a super cool, but like maybe synchronous, like connected, mystical, witchy story that you have of something that you experienced that you can share with us?
So I actually had this happen last night, but this is something that I do quite often.
Mhm.
Well, I do maybe every couple months, but I will ask the universe for a sign, and it's typically if I'm on the right track. Because sometimes I do question, am I really on the right track? Am I supposed to be doing all this stuff? And every single time I get, yes, you're on the right track. So so last night I wore a shirt out and the shirt said coffee, Covens, and cats. And I just got the shirt and I love it and I was rocking it. And we had to go to a couple different places in Miami to do some errands. And I just decided to ask the universe. I was like, if I am on the right track, have somebody compliment this shirt by the end of the night. So we had 3 places to go to. And this was at the second place that this came to me to ask. And I was like, okay, see if somebody compliments the shirt. And the chances of anybody complimenting the shirt are pretty low, but possible. You're really
Mhm.
not going to compliment it unless you're a little witchy and you're like,
I would
oh, I
compliment
love
it.
coffee, ovens, and
Be
cats.
like, "That's a badass shirt."
Yeah. And so I was like, I always love to play games with the universe. I don't know why. I'm like, just show me this. And if I'm supposed to do that, show me that. So I have a couple of these stories. So we get to our last place, which is a restaurant. We walk up to the hostess, and there's a man hostess and a girl hostess. And the man like looks at me and he looks at my shirt, and then he says it out loud. He's like, coffee, covens, and cats. And I didn't know how he was going to respond to this, so I didn't know where he was getting at. And I just went like this. I had my arms to my side with like a, "Yeah," the face. And he's like, "I love that shirt." And then the
Oh.
hostess next to him was like, "Yeah, that is a cool shirt."
Ooh.
In that moment, I was like, "Thank you, universe."
Yes.
I was like, "Okay, cool." And then we
2
sat in the
compliments.
yeah. We
Yeah.
sat in the restaurant, and my husband was next to me, and I was like I like hesitantly was like, "Hey, honey, I just earlier asked the universe if I was on the right track to have somebody compliment my shirt, and that guy complimented my shirt." And my husband's like, "Yeah, really?" And I was, he's all into this stuff that I am, but I can be a little much for him sometimes. And I was just feeling really proud of myself in that moment. I'm like, somebody complimented my shirt and blah, blah, blah.
It's
There was another
exciting.
where I was driving, and this was when I was really this was like 4 or 5 months ago. Actually, it was around Easter where I was really questioning, like, witchy practices. Are they really safe? Like, would God really create all these nature-based spiritual practices only to punish us? And it was around Easter, and I was watching some Bible stuff, and again, spiritual awakenings will have you questioning things at certain times, and you'll be like, "Da, da, da, da." But at this time, I was driving, and I asked the universe, I was like, "If I am on the right track and doing the right thing, then show me a pink car." We don't really have many pink cars around our area, but on the way back home, there was a pink car sitting in a car sales parking lot. And
Yeah.
I just, like, got the biggest smile on my face, and I was like, "Of course, like, of course I'm on the right track." But I'm always like, "Thank you, universe, for showing me that I'm on the right track. I am just human and just need some reassurance sometime, but I always trust you." And so I talk to the universe, which for some of you listening might be God, source, the divine. To me, it's like the the same thing, different words. But I'm
Mhm.
"Thank you so much. Like, I trust you. I just need some reassurance sometimes." And, there was another time where I talked to the universe, so I don't really talk about this much, but actually 7 years ago yesterday, I
Mhm.
removed my breast implants because they were making me sick. I had breast implant illness, and right before I was getting ready to take my breast implants out to have the surgery, I was very nervous and very scared for the surgery and like, am I gonna get healthy again and stuff like that. So I literally went outside when I was taking my dog out and I looked up in the sky and I was like, all right, if I'm supposed to go with Dr. Dev in the next couple of days, show me a deer. And it can be either in real life or like on TV. And if I'm supposed to go with Dr. Rankin, because I was trying to determine between these two doctors, show me a
Mhm.
raccoon either in real life or on TV. And the chances of me seeing a raccoon in Florida are much higher. Um, So I did that and I was just like, show me a sign. Sometimes you can, just say, show me a sign and be very specific on your sign. And kind of you can do it in like a time frame. Show me this sign within a certain time frame and you'll get answers. And it is a form of divination, but you're also working with the universe. And so literally the next morning, my son, he sleeps with us sometimes in the middle of the night. And he was next to me and he turns on the TV and he watches America's Funniest Videos, and I'm sleeping, and he wakes me up and he's like, "Mommy, mommy, look at this deer on the TV." And I was like, "There's my sign. I saw the deer." Not even joking you, this is the crazy part, and I just got goosebumps. Very bad habit, but I went on social media, like, pretty much as soon as I woke up, and I'm scrolling through the surgeon's, Instagram, and on
Mhm.
the Instagram story, it says, "Doctor Dev has an opening for this Thursday because a patient, his physical didn't clear, and so if anybody's wanting to get a surgery this Thursday, let us know."
Oh.
That specific surgeon was booked out for months, and so
Mhm.
I was like, "Oh my god, I got my sign from the universe." And the universe opened up a spot for me
Yes.
to see if I truly trusted it and to see if I was truly gonna trust the path that it's telling me to take. So I called the surgeon's office and I was like, "Hey, I just saw on your Instagram story that Doctor Dev has a surgery, slot open for this Thursday. Can I please take it? I need to get an explant. I'm really sick, da da da." Da." Went in that afternoon to just get checked out, and I had my surgery 3 days later.
Wow.
Like, things can move so fast when you directly connect to source and build that relationship with it. And,
Mhm.
as much as you seek guidance from it, always express gratitude for its guidance and thank it. It is like a true relationship. It's not just all take, 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 show me, give me. It's like, thank you for what I have and for the guidance and for always having my back and leading me in the right direction or teaching me a lesson. Maybe I was supposed to have that horrible experience because it was gonna show me something within inside myself that I needed to learn or grow from. So,
Mhm.
those are 3 kind of experiences that I've had. Oh, there's one kind of witchier one if you want. So,
Open. Let's hear it.
growing Instagram, my Instagram had 3,800 followers in October, and then I got
Mhm.
a room closet and started to share more, like, witchy spiritual practices and stuff like that. I did a bay leaf burning ritual on I think it was, like, in March, and on the bay leaf, I wrote, 4/1/25, so I wrote the date and I wrote 50,000 followers.
Mhm.
I got 50,000 followers, like, 3 days before that date on the that I wrote on
Oh, wow.
the thing. So I'm a
Congratulations.
big fan of bay leaf burning rituals, so you basically just write something that you want to achieve or something you want to let go of on the bay leaf. You sit there with it for a second and just visualize it coming true. You just burn the bay leaf, let it burn, and then you say thank you and watch the magic happen. I don't know how this happens, but they're powerful little things. So,
Yeah.
sure, when you do burn a bay leaf, it's truly what you want to attract or let go of. So,
Mm, I know, because you might get exactly what you asked for.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then
except
people do
yeah, and sometimes it does come with, like, uh, difficulty. I trying to think of another word for this, but I'm thinking, like, trials and tribulations, right? Like,
huh,
you have stuff come up where you want exactly what you asked for, but maybe that means, like, you have to get a different job or you're gonna
yeah,
get let go, right? Maybe it means your relationship's gonna end. Maybe it means, like, you're gonna be out of money for something, right? So that way it can open an opportunity for something else. Like, I think, like, that too is also exactly what you were explaining before, where you're asking for a sign and you have this internal just trust that it's gonna happen. I even wanna ask you what your experience is in the difference between trusting what's happening and knowing, like, trusting the path versus knowing the path. What is your thought on that?
so when I trust the path, I trust that whatever happens is for my highest good. I trust that even if there's gonna be some pain or some loss or some challenges, it's for my own good to grow as a person or to learn something, whether that's a boundary. Most of the time, it's like a boundary or sticking up for yourself, or
Mhm.
um, I don't know, just maybe even a piece of information that you learn because it's gonna open you up to something. So for me, that is like just trusting the path. And then what was the other one?
Knowing the path.
Knowing the path is more of a felt sense for me. It's like, I just know this is right because it feels right. It doesn't feel manipulative. I don't feel like I'm being controlled by anything or anybody. And it's more of a feeling of calm and ease and confidence within myself of like, I just know. Like I don't know how I know, but by the way that I'm feeling, I just know that this is what I'm
Mhm.
supposed to be doing or whatever it may be, or this is the path that I'm supposed to be taking. I'm being pulled in this direction. When I say pulled, I mean like something's always on your heart of like doing, whether it's like going to school or following a different path. It's like I just keep getting this call to like explore this, or I keep getting this call to like travel to this area or to learn something or whatever it may be. And so it's finally like answering the call and what is it, like scratching the itch or something like that,
Yeah.
and pursuing that thing. And maybe there was something within that that's gonna take you somewhere else where you're supposed to be as well. So it's all just really trusting yourself and what's coming up without questioning it too much and being like, "I don't know, like, this just keeps coming up for me, so I'm gonna see what this is about." And I'm a big feeler outer, so if I follow something and it feels good and it feels like truth, bam, but if it just doesn't feel like it, I'm very quick to be like, "That's not for me."
Mhm.
Um, so I don't know, that's always worked for me in life,
Yeah. No, I
is
I
questioning things and just going with the flow, so to say, like, I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
just
no,
here.
yeah, and I think when you're trusting that flow, right? And when you're on in the flow without getting stuck in a certain place or really trying to hold on to being somewhere, like you're trusting that flow,
Yeah, or like you
Yeah, it's
need
like
to know everything. Like I
yeah.
need to know where this is gonna take me, or I need to know what's gonna happen when this happens.
Mhm.
Sometimes that's like such the beautiful part is not knowing and seeing
Yeah,
what it holds naturally in the way that it's meant to without your influence on it.
for sure, and I think we don't have all the awareness of all the parts that go into that.
Yeah, that's
Right?
so
Like,
true.
we only know from our perception and what we're experiencing, but we don't know all these other things that are happening, like, within life that could be contributing to us getting to that exact place, right? It's like, I loved how you explained that because I think for me, like, the knowing was I this came to my mind when you're talking about this was starting this podcast. I had this inner knowing, and it was like this inner voice that was coming to me, like saying, "You need to do this, you need to do this." And I was like, "Oh, I know."
Yeah, that's it.
And but it was also like, and then the humanness comes up where it's like, "Oh, but it's not gonna it's not gonna be anything for me. I have to look for guests. Like, who am I to start this? Who am I to do this?" Right?
Mhm.
So I had that knowing, and then when I decided I'm just gonna do it, that's when the trust came in for me, where I was like, "You know what? I'm just gonna trust that the right people are gonna be led to me. The people that are supposed to be on this, that are supposed to share their stories for the world and for other women that are listening, like, they'll come up. It'll happen somehow. I trust that the universe is gonna have it happen because it gave me this knowing that it needed to be done. So
Yeah.
here I am showing up, doing that, and sometimes the humanness comes out, right? Where I'm like, "Oh, man, I'm not
Mhm.
able to get a guest this month, or I'm not able to record this month, or I have so much going on, I can't put my time into it." But it is coming back to, you know what? It's unfolding exactly how it's supposed to.
Yep.
Maybe, this week I'm supposed to take a break. I don't know why, but I know it's all working out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it actually has grown so much more than I thought it would. Same thing like you. You had your 50,000. I want 100 listeners when I first started in November. I was like, I want 100 listeners before my 1 year. And I've surpassed that.
Yeah.
And just in the United States alone, I have almost 200 people.
Whoa.
I wanna give a shout out to Ireland because Ireland is, like, climbing here. They're like yeah,
Awesome.
I have, like, I think, like, 20 people in Ireland. There's some people in Sweden, there's people in Russia, there's somebody in India, so there's
That is so
people
cool.
listening to this, yes, all over the world. Something that I never thought would happen. So it goes back into that, in alignment with what you're talking about, right? When you have this knowing that something is calling you, you're being called to do something to some place, whatever that might be, and then trusting that it's gonna work out for you. As long
Yeah.
as you're acting from, "You know what? I'm gonna act in inspiration of this thing that I'm being called to do, this knowing that I have to do this thing."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always say if it's on your heart, it's meant for you.
Mhm.
If you're feeling something, if you're wanting to pursue something, that's on your mind and on your heart for a reason. It's because it's meant for you and you're supposed to follow that path for whatever reason, and maybe that's not the original path you'll end up in, but that's like a first step path that might open the doors up to other
Mhm.
paths. It's
Yeah.
like a spider web. It's like you go down this one road, and that's gonna take you to another opportunity, another person, another road, and then that path eventually will take you somewhere else, but it's all about trusting that first calling. If something's truly on your heart that you want to do anything, anything,
Mhm.
it's there
Yeah,
for a reason.
absolutely. So you've shared some incredible information with us. You gave us a couple little like rituals or things that we can do, people can do. I think you guys there's some great info there that Christina gave if you guys want to start stepping into this. But I want to ask you what would be one message that you would give to the world? Something that you would say whether to inspire people to step into their witchy self or just to inspire people in some other way, but what would be that message that you would like to leave us with?
Hmm. If there is something that we kind of just talked about that is on your heart that you feel like will bring you more peace, happiness, love, calm, connection into your world, whatever it may be. It's time to follow that voice and that nudge and take those first steps into exploring that side of yourself that maybe you've never explored before and see what comes up and trust that and believe in yourself and trust yourself because you know your heart and your intentions, and so does Source.
Mm, I love that. I feel like that's such a powerful message. I feel like I needed to hear that even right now. I think we all need that little reminder.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing
We
that.
know our hearts and people around us who truly love and support us do as well, and
Mhm.
especially God, Source, the divine, the universe.
Yes, it does.
They feel us, they can see into us, and they know what we're doing is of light and of love and, of good. And so, might not make sense to other people, but as long as it makes sense to you, that's what matters.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Christina, so much for being here. We've already done an hour of our time, but I would love to leave them with some information about you. Where can people find you? Where they can connect with you? If they want to dive deeper into this, tell us a little bit about where they can locate you.
So, definitely on Instagram, my handle is awaken.magick with a K, Magick dot within. So Wake and Magic Within. Very active on Instagram. If you're into longer form content, I am starting up my YouTube channel again. It's Awaken Magic Within. So you can follow me and subscribe on YouTube. And if you're really wanting to to dive deeper into this, I share so much on my Instagram alone, or I do have a store where I have an ebook and I have courses that you can explore on your own in the privacy of your own home. On my Instagram, in my bio, there is a link to my store, and you can go and see if anything there catches your eye. And I think that's it. And then I have my website, Awake and Magic Within, with blogs on it. If you prefer reading, there's some blogs on there.
Awesome. And I'll put all your information. I'll put Christina's information this in the show notes. That way you guys can find her, connect with her, um, and locate all these beautiful services that she's offering for you guys for your continued just exploration and spiritual curiosity.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Christina, for being here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for this opportunity. It's been great.
Of course. Good.
Great
Thank you for
conversation.
sharing. I'm so happy that you came on and you shared. I think it's so needed what you're doing and just the path that you're taking. There's so many people that are interested that I know would love to dive deeper into it. So I'm really happy that you joined us.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the feminine voice of God. May the divine feminine within you continue to guide and inspire your spiritual journey. Stay connected, share your insights, and embody the wisdom shared on our podcast. Until next time, may the sacred essence of the feminine illuminate your path.